Welcome back. My name is Randy. I am the War Duck, and we are talking Oregon sports today. And boy, did we have a game that we had to cover yesterday. So, Oklahoma State came to town, and Oklahoma State's coach, Mike Gundy, had talked a little bit of smack about Oregon paying players, Oregon wanting to win. And well, Dan Lanning, he kind of took it in stride, but I think the team was a little bit fired up. Even Dante Moore made a comment about, sounded like he was talking smack to his dad, a family member. So Oregon decided that they would put it on Oklahoma State. And that game turned into a 69-3 thrashing, but that score doesn't really even explain the thrashing because that score was the end of the third quarter, and the fourth quarter they kind of just let their foot off the gas. It easily could have been much, much worse than this, but even at that, it was quite thrashing. So we're going to take a real quick look at a highlight here because this is what Oregon's been waiting for, to get those crazy, phenomenal players in there, and they got one in Decorian Moore, the wide receiver. So just watch this play real quick, and then we'll move on. So here he comes right here. He gets the ball, and he cuts up. Got a great block there, and he has the wherewithal to get his hand inside when he is in midair and cross the ball over the pylon to get the touchdown as a true freshman. An amazing play. Just an absolute amazing play. And that pretty much summed up the game right there because it didn't get any better. That was already, when it was 27-3 or 27-0. Doesn't really matter. It didn't get any better. But Decorian Moore is going to be something special for the Ducks in the long run. He's already something special, but the more this guy plays, the more games this guy gets under a belt, he's only going to get better. Dante Moore had some exceptional deep balls in this game that were right on the money. He looked really good. The decision-making, I thought, was really good. And for the most part, the only time that he had, I think there was just a couple actual drop balls or just where they just couldn't connect, incompletes, and the rest of them were just him kind of throwing it away. So, a complete thrashing. So we'll just move on from there because there's not a whole lot to say about the score. It was just Oregon all day. I think they played even better than they played on their first game, although there was a little bit of issues with the penalties in this game, but we'll take a look at that when we get into the stats here. Let's just take a gander at the team breakdown. So, first downs, Oregon has 24. Third down efficiency, 7-12. And again, the defense dominated. They were 4 of 16. They did go 1 for 1 in fourth downs, but it was kind of minor. And then Oregon was 1 for 2. Rushing yards for Oregon, 312. Passing yards, 319. Very, very balanced, but they had almost 500 yards in the first half. Ended with 631. You can see that Oklahoma State tried to run the ball and just burn out the clock as much as possible. They just didn't want to play this game anymore. You could kind of tell. Even their starter came out in the third quarter. Just too much abuse. So somehow they racked up 144 yards. I think Oregon's rushing defense fell off a little bit there. Something that needs to be addressed going further. But in the end, when you hold the team to 211 and you're racking up 631, that means your defense was out on the field quite a bit. Let's see, sacks. Oregon had 2 sacks, and Oklahoma State didn't even really touch more. They fell on him when he had a run. They were a little bit worried about his knee and his head, but he seemed okay. He was walking around okay, so hopefully there's nothing there. Oklahoma State threw back-to-back pick sixes. That was a horrible thing. It was almost the same identical play both times. Yeah, not good. And right after that, they took him out. Just no more punishment needed for that kid. Oklahoma State punted 10 times. Oregon did punt in the fourth quarter twice. They had to come out and punt twice. Of course, you're, a four-string quarterback, but still, we had to punt twice. And this is where we had a little bit of a slight increase. There was 5 or 6 false start penalties on Oklahoma State, which, of course, when you're in Autzen and that crowd is going ballistic, then that's just going to happen sometimes. It's hard to get over that sound there. But Oregon on the first game had 2 or 3 penalties. This time they had 6. There was, I think, 3 of those were illegal motion penalties, where they would have a guy move and he wasn't quite fully set before you brought the next guy in motion. I saw Dan Lanning yelling on the sidelines. He was a little bit upset about those calls. Probably just, a little bit of miscommunication and timing. It's still the second game, but Oregon racks up 631 yards in 28 minutes and 41 seconds, and there's still a lot to be improved. That's, very promising. Of course, Oklahoma State had the time of possession, 31 minutes. It seemed like a lot longer than that. But this game was like I think it definitely started at 12:30, and I think it got over at like 4:30. I don't know, it was a long game, like 3.5, 4 hours. But it's what happens when Oregon's scoring like that. So let's take a look here. Dante Moore goes 16 of 21. Like I said, a couple of those were, throwaways, no dangerous passes. They had one that just went off the tips of the guy's hands. It was a very well thrown long ball. He had some really good deep balls there. 266 yards, 12.7 average per attempt, 3 TDs, and whatever the QBR rating thing means. I don't know what that means. Luke Moga came in, and he went 2 for 3, 53 yards, 17.7 average. And then Brock Thomas, the 4-string, came in, went 0 for 1, but did just fine. So overall, 18 of 25, 319 yards to the air, 12.8 average through the 3 QBs. Then you get to the Oregon's rushing attack. Man, the Oregon running back room is deep, real deep. And then when you start throwing in wide receivers and stuff in there on these sweeps and stuff, very, very dangerous team. So Noah Whittington had 4 carries, 91 yards, average 22, and 1 TD. He had a long 59-yard breakthrough for a TD that was gorgeous. Jaden Lamar, 6 carries, 87 yards, 14.5 average, 1 TD, long of 53. And the thing is, I thought Jaden Lamar, he looks really, really fast. Even though, nobody was catching Noah when he broke out, Jaden Lamar looks really fast. It's hard to tell. I bet Lamar's faster than Whittington, but it's hard to tell. Caleb Hughes gets in there. He has 9 carries, 30 yards, 3.3 average, long of 6. DeCorian Moore, you saw that one. 1 carry, 25 yards, 25 average, and 1 TD. Jay Harris gets in there, 7 carries, 23 yards, 3.3. That's a running back. Deere Hill Jr. gets in there, 1 carries, 19 yards, and a TD. Dante Moore, he had 2 carries, 11 yards. And this is, he ran, gets a first down. He kind of gets brought down with his head down, and as he rolls over, you had an opposing lineman fall on his knee. Luckily, it was like this, and so it straightened out onto the turf, and then he rolled off. So I'm hoping there's no damage there. Dante Moore was walking around just fine, so I hope it was just maybe, the hit and not actual damage. Yeah, Jordan Davison, 3 carries, 6 yards. Kenyon Sadiq, 1 carry, 3 yards. Deshaun Riggs had -1 yard, and Brock Thomas had -4 for a total of 312. That's a lot of people carrying the ball for you. That's distributing, right? That's distributing the ball around, giving other people a chance, putting it in different playmakers, making sure you guys are fresh for the long season. All right, receiving here. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 people caught the ball again. I think there was 10 last game also. 2, 2, 2. Gary Bryant had 3. And Gary Bryant had that gorgeous block for DeCorian Moore's touchdown run. Last week, it was DeCorian Moore making a block for Gary Bryant. This week, it's Gary Bryant making one for DeCorian Moore. That's great to see. Kenyon Sadiq has 2 touches. Justice Lowe 2. Cooper Perry 2. Jamari Johnson 1. Jaden Lamar 1. And Jay Harris 1. Jeremiah McClellan had 76 yards and average 38. No touchdowns. They had a long of 51. 2 receptions, 69 yards. Long of 65. Benson had 2 for 48 yards. Long of 42. I mean, just look at this. Long of 51. Long of 65. Long of 42. Long of 28. Long of 26. Long of 10, 7, 6, 5, 1. And a lot of these, I'd say a lot, but I would say half of those were, throws that were a good 15, 20 yards down the field, and then the player making the rest. But DeCorian Moore had his touchdown. I think that was, the 65-yard pass play. And it was on the money in the end zone. I'm pretty sure that was the one I was thinking of. Overall, great game. See. So Peyton Woodyard and who else had the other touchdown? Jerry Mixon both had the pick sixes there. And yeah, so you go from playing a sub-level team to playing a regular Power 4 conference team. Even though it's Oklahoma State, they're rebuilding, but they still have players, right? Players that could start on other Power 4, Power 5 teams. I don't know. I guess they're calling it Power 4 because Pac-10, Pac-12's gone now. Pac-2. All right. So to do that against that team with these kind of numbers, to increase your numbers over the first game is very promising. And we have yet to see Oregon play their best game yet. And that's the other thing that makes this team very, very dangerous is they haven't played their best game yet. And so they're going to, pretty much just keep rolling, keep getting better as long as they stay healthy. I would like to see maybe next week pull the starters out a little bit earlier, but it is what it is. And so, next week Oregon plays Northwestern, and Northwestern is 1-1 with a loss to Tulane in week 1. They lost 23-3. They played Western Illinois yesterday 42-7. Oregon should absolutely dominate that game. So with that, though, we now have Oregon moving up to number 4. Illinois, Florida State into the top 10. Let's take a look at the top 25 now. You have number 1. Man, I can't even barely see that. You guys can't see that at all. All right, there we go. Ohio State number 1 still. You got Penn State number 2. You got LSU number 3. Oregon moves up to number 4. Miami number 5. Georgia moves down to number 6. Texas 7. Notre Dame 8. Illinois 9. And Florida State 10. So that is your top 10. Oregon moves up with that dominant game. They're going to play Northwestern. That, again, shouldn't be a test. it should be over by halftime, but you have to play the game, so you just never know. But as long as things go as they do. Now, this is Oregon's first road game, so we'll see how Oregon handles the travel, and then hopefully they can stay on task and run the score up a bit by the third quarter, bring in the backups, get them a chance to play, keep your starters healthy, because that is going to be the name of the game for Oregon this season, is keeping your team healthy for those big games. So far so good. They got Northwestern, and then they come back home and play Oregon State. And then it's the big game on the 27th against Penn State. That game is a 4:30 game. It'll be a whiteout. It'll be, at least right now, number 2 versus number 4. And that could be the way it shakes out, as the top 4 matchup for the Ducks to be on the road. So this would be a good tune-up here. Get a hold of this travel. So with that, though, Oregon dominates Oklahoma State. You shouldn't talk about the Ducks until after the game's over, because if you do, it's just more fuel for the fire. Dan is a master at motivating his team to get ready to play during the regular season. I know everybody say, oh, what about regular season? They're still defending Pac-10 title champions until somebody beats them and knocks them off. And so far, so good. So with that, we start our Big Ten matchup next week, right? Northwestern's in the Big Ten, right? Man, I'm still getting used to who's on what, but I believe that is their Big Ten opener. So with that, much love all. We are out.